Okay guys, today we are going to be changing the oil in this 1993 Ford F-250. Regardless of what car you have, oil changes are pretty similar to what I'm about to do and fairly easy. Now, for those of you who are my followers who already know how to change the oil because I've taught you so many times, this video is probably not going to be that entertaining to you. But you are welcome to follow along and support our channel as always. So before you get started, make sure you have all the materials that you're going to need for the job. You're going to need fresh oil. For our old 1993 Ford, I've got Mobile Super, 5,000 miles of protection, 10W30. It's a pretty basic oil. I don't mind it in an old farm truck, but some of you may want to go with a more expensive oil if you've got the money. You also want to make sure you have an oil filter. The oil filter is going to be specific to your vehicle, depending on the year, the make, the size, etc. You could go to any auto parts store, and chances are they've got a little book there that'll tell you which oil filter you need for the oil change. Now you're going to need an oil filter wrench. That is to remove the old oil filter and install the new oil filter. You're going to need a oil pan to catch the oil as it comes out of the vehicle, and you're going to need a socket wrench set with the right size socket to pull the drain plug at the bottom of your motor. That's pretty much it. Oh, you might also want to have a plastic funnel for refilling your oil. So something I always like to do on my vehicles when I'm changing the oil is I like to come in here, you find the oil cap, it'll say engine oil on it, and I loosen it up and I remove that cap. The reason why I remove this cap is because I want airflow going through the engine as the oil drains out, especially if your motor is cold. The motor here is actually cold. You want your oil to be a little warm, but I've had an issue starting my car, so it is what it is. So remove your oil cap and that'll help with the flow of the oil. The next step is identifying and locating the oil drain plug. This is going to be at the bottom of your engine. You'll have a pan of some sort, and then there'll be a plug at the bottom of it. That is your oil plug. In order to let the oil out of the car, we have to remove this plug. There we go. 17 millimeter will work on that one. Okay. And I'm just going to loosen it for now. Now that it's loosened, I'm going to put my oil pan underneath where the oil is going to drain, because I could do the rest of this fairly easily once I get that under there. Now, with your oil pan underneath, you could very easily come in and drain the oil. Just loosen the plug the rest of the way. And just let the old oil drip on out. Okay, so the next thing you're going to need to do is locate your oil filter. Now on these old Fords, God didn't want to punish us for driving them, so he had them install it right here on the front. Very easy to reach and access. Depending on the car you have, it could be a real pain to access that oil filter. What you're going to do is just move over your oil pan, your drain pan that you just used to put the old oil in, and put it right up underneath here, because you're going to have some oil come out of this as you loosen it up. And you're going to take your oil filter wrench, grab a hold of that sucker, and loosen it up. Oh. Yeah. This one doesn't want to come loose. You can see from the markings on there, somebody took a lot of effort to make sure it was on there really tight, and that was not me. Now we're just going to go ahead and install our new oil filter. Now on this truck, if I remember correctly, the last mechanic had taken off the oil filter and the the rubber seal had come off and had stuck to the truck. Make sure you don't have that situation going on, because it ended up leaking oil everywhere. It was a mess. So with the new oil filter, what I always like to do is get some oil on my finger and just kind of rub it around on that seal. It'll help lubricate the seal a little bit. So as you put this on, it'll slide nicely into place without snagging anything like the rubber seal. Get it nice and hand tight, and then grab your filter wrench, get a hold of it, and tighten it down. Okay, that should be tight enough. Now, anytime I do something like this, I like to just come in and wipe everything clean, because that's going to tell me if I have any problems. If you leave everything dirty, you can't see where your problems are. Get the fresh oil off of there. That way, if it's leaking, I'm going to know right away. Now you're going to come under here and replace your oil plug. Make sure it's on there nice and tight. You want it tight, but you don't want to over tighten it. And then again, take a rag and just wipe this off so that you can see if there are any issues going forward. Now you take your plastic oil funnel, install it, and you're going to refill your motor with oil. Now, if your car takes 6 quarts of oil, all you want to do at this point in the game is put in 5 quarts. If your car takes 5 quarts, you put in 4 quarts. Why? Because we want to make sure on the last quart that we measure our top off and don't overfill the oil. That could happen if your car is not on a level surface. A whole lot of different reasons. Okay, so I've put in 5 quarts of oil. I have 1 quart left. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to check my oil level. Now, I'm betting with a truck this size and the size of the oil filter that it's going to read that I'm pretty gosh darn full. And yep, it reads that it's 3/4 full. But I know it's actually not, because I haven't turned my engine over and gotten oil into the oil filter. You don't want to just add more oil, because you could damage your motor from having too much oil in there before it works its way into the filter. So what you're going to do is you're going to hold off on this quart, put your oil cap back on, get everything in place, turn on the car, let it run for a couple minutes, shut it off, and then check your oil again. Okay, so now that we've had the engine turn on and run over for a minute, we're just going to check our oil level. It should be a little bit lower than it was before, because we just ran the oil through the new oil filter, which had to fill up. My aim is off. Okay. Yep, coming back dry. So, open this up. And we're just gonna pour in our last quart of oil. Now with this final quart, sometimes it's good to just go ahead and do like a half quart, check it, and then continue on. That way you can monitor how much oil you're putting in, just in case you don't want to overfill. It's kind of crazy. I put in 6 quarts of oil and it's still just a tad bit low on the dipstick. Alright guys, that's pretty much it. That's how you change the oil in your vehicle. So hopefully you learned something new and you could go out and do this on your own. If I can do it, you can definitely do it. If you're new here, you can tune into our channel. I do a lot of these types of videos as well as a lot of other videos. Our channel has a lot of nice content. So tune in, follow us, and hit the subscribe.